Welcome to another venture with Getting Lost. We are actually on the escalator exiting Chinatown MRT station, and when you come out here, on your left and your right you can see pre-World War II shophouses, and this is one of the touristy areas of Chinatown. And if you look far ahead of you, you can actually see the buildings of the CBD. Today, we're going to visit and explore Chinatown in Singapore. Wait a minute, you will say. Isn't like the majority of people in Singapore Chinese? And shouldn't everywhere be Chinatown? A very interesting observation. But to find out the reason, we have to look back in history. But before we look back in history, let's talk about this street we are on here. Once you exit out the MRT station, you're actually along Pagoda Street. And since this is a more touristy area of Chinatown, you'll notice there are lots of souvenir shops that line out the area. So if you want to get your Singapore themed souvenirs, this is the perfect place to get it. This is the Chinatown Heritage Center. It's a place, small museum, where you can, for $15, experience how the people used to live in this area, a slice of life from the past. So if you're interested in that, you can come here and have a look. When Singapore was established as a free port by the British, more Chinese and other immigrants started flocking to its shores. So for easy administration, Raffles separated the various immigrant groups into racial quarters. So the area from Boat Quay, southwest bank of the Singapore River, was designated as a Chinese kampong. The word kampong is actually a Malay word which means village. And so this area, designated by Raffles, actually became a community settlement and home to many of the Chinese immigrants and a transit point for coolies, which were unskilled laborers going to Malaya. So that's why we have a Chinatown. Not only the Chinese were actually designated into areas, the area itself was also divided into zones. Okay, a sector for each of the Chinese communities of the same provincial origins and dialect group. Also, different trades were confined to specific areas. This is Pagoda Street, and Pagoda Street got its name from the entrance tower that frames the Sri Mariamman temple, which is actually not a pagoda but a gopuram. This is the Sri Mariamman temple, which is Singapore's oldest Hindu temple. One of the features of this temple is the gopuram, which rises above the main entrance along South Beach Road. It's richly embellished with 6 tiers of sculptures of Hindu deities and other figures and ornamental decorations. If you notice, the tower actually tapers up towards to a molded ornamental bridge. The scale of each tier and its sculptures is slightly smaller than that of the tier below it. So this actually gives and creates an illusion of height and adds to the symbolic importance of the building. And you also notice the sculptures here are actually all made of plaster and are painted in a variety of bright colors, which adds to the visual spectacular quality of the gopuram. And this temple serves the majority Hindu Singaporeans and Tamils in the city-state. Most of the shophouses here were actually built after 1842, and this area here used to be occupied by opium dens and coolie houses. The two trades actually fed off each other because quietly encouraged by the colonial government. Many coolies, condemned to a hopeless existence, turned to opium for momentary relief from their hardship. This is the junction between Pagoda Street and Terengganu Street. Surprisingly, Terengganu Street also has a bit of a history. Brothels were common all over Chinatown. However, Japanese brothels were concentrated only in a few areas, such as Terengganu Street. Thus, Terengganu Street was actually known as Japanese Street. Until the pre-war years, Japanese sex workers plied their trade along this street in an oddly noble effort to help finance their country's military campaigns. Besides the brothels, a number of coolie houses also operated along Terengganu Street. In these houses, hundreds of indentured labourers, mostly peasants from southern China, awaited their fate, which lay in the hands of agents and employers. Other impoverished workers also eked out a living here. Every day, Chinatown's food hawkers would descend upon Terengganu Street, a routine that endured until the hawkers were actually moved into Chinatown Complex. And Chinatown Complex is the place that you also will have to visit soon. Another popular feature of Terengganu Street is this building here. In the 19th century, this street was well known for the presence of this building, which is the famous Lai Chuan Yan Opera House, which is located at the junction of Smith Street and Terengganu Street. This was built in 1887 and actually occupied a 3-story shop house that was a 834-seater theatre. It was considered the Broadway of Cantonese opera, and between 1910 to 1920s, the theatre hosted performances from many famous opera stars. Unfortunately, after the 1920s, the theatre started to lose its popularity to cinema halls and amusement parks. As you can see, we actually just passed by Chinatown Complex. Okay, and further down that way, we'll be going to Sagole. Over here is Chinatown Food Street, and here again is the Opera House. At Chinatown Complex, you can actually buy some traditional Chinese themed clothes, some cotton pants, and here again with the Opera House. Basically, I will actually bring you through some of the shops in Chinatown Complex, which will probably be in the next episode. But now, as you can see, this is the Opera House, and on the first floor is where they actually sell all souvenirs now, and it's no longer a opera house anymore. Next up, we're actually going to the Chinatown Food Street, which they actually have built a glass roof on top to protect you from the weather. So we're actually walking through here now during the early evening time, so a lot of the shops are preparing for the dinner rush. Over here, there's a lot of foods that you can try, a lot of local food, and of course you'll be eating in an atmosphere that is very picturesque. Not only that, underneath all these shop houses, there are lots of restaurants that you can go to. They've got a wide variety of foods for you to choose from. Okay, and then of course, like I said, you can also try a lot of local foods. We are actually heading towards the end of the food street. Okay, directly right in front of us is actually South Bridge Road. This street itself is actually called Smith Street, and at the corner here at this red building is actually a shop that you can try Singapore style coffee. If you haven't tried Singaporean coffee before, that shop itself, the red building, actually does a very good job, make a very good cup of coffee. So if you do like coffee and you try something new, this is a good place to try. And like I said, the buildings along this street here are very picturesque. Look at that. There's actually a balcony there, which normally for the Singaporean shop house, the Baroque style, they do not really have balconies. There's a wide variety of food for you to choose from Indian Muslim food to Chinese food. You can actually order dishes. There's seafood, they can cook dishes for you. You want a snack, you want something light, you have noodle dishes, rice dishes. Or if you prefer, you can go to any of these restaurants at the bottom of the shop houses. There's actually a lot of regional cuisine from China They actually open up shops here. You can try that. But for me, I feel that the food here is a bit overpriced. Even though the food here, there's a wide variety for you to choose from. What I would normally prefer to do is along Smith Street further down, there's this place called Chinatown Complex. You can actually see it over here, which is the colorful building. On the second floor, during lunchtime, there are over 200 oval hawker stores for you to choose from. You'll be spot for choice. There's a lot of variety of food. And you come during dinner time, there's also a lot of places open. They actually cook dishes for you to eat. So that's my recommendation. But if you want to come here, enjoy the architecture, enjoy the atmosphere. I hope you enjoy what you see. If you do, please like, share and subscribe. If you don't, still like, share and subscribe. And the most important thing, don't forget to join me for my next adventure. Bye bye.